Maybe noticed your mind beginning to wander.
Yep.
Many times.
This whole day.
The whole day.
I've been having memories of like stuff I haven't thought about in years. Yeah.
And when you're actually still and not saying anything, mind just wanders and wanders and wanders and wanders, and you'll find that you're just doing things to just do things. Just walk. I just gotta do something. Let me just go. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Let me just. And the mind is starving for stimulus. It's starving for action. And so it's looking. So just gently bring it back. It's not wrong. It's not bad. Just gently bring it back to a place of stillness. Gently bring it back to a place of meditation, if that's what you know. More than 24 hours in, Becca. Such a beautiful day. Are you realizing how much space you fill with talking in your normal, everyday existence? And how much of it is not needed? Uh-huh. Yeah, you're allowed to talk. You're allowed to engage with me and ask questions. And
Okay. Mm-hmm. No, I did. I recognized this morning, even when I went to the bathroom, which I kind of made myself go to the bathroom. Like, I wasn't even sure that I actually had to go, but I felt like I had to move around. And there's a dog starting to bark at me, and I was like, oh, hello. And I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not. Like, I had to, like, reel it in. Like, why am I saying hi to the dog? I'm just have to, like, reel it back in. And one of the first difficulties I had with my mind this morning was just settling in, because I had all these thoughts about, I don't want to get dirty, or, oh, I don't want bugs to crawl on me, or I don't want something in my hair. And then I started to question, why? What is this preconditioning? Why would I, when did I become separate from these things to where, like, something else that I feel couldn't touch me, like a bug, or why would I not want, like, part of the earth to be on this body, So I started to question those things after I started to recognize those little fearful thoughts. And after I observed that, I was able to kind of settle in a little bit. But after a little while, then the busyness started. I was looking for something to do. I got to move around. I couldn't stay for long in one place. And I felt better releasing those questions. Why don't I want to get dirty? Why don't I want? So what if a bug bites me? It's not like the end of the world. So what if I have sticks in my hair or dirt on my clothes? That was like something I would search inside.
So what did you realize? Did you realize anything of that?
I realized that I didn't have to be afraid of any of that stuff and that I wasn't separate. I realized that was like conditioning. The concept of like being dirty or the concept of being separate from creatures or even fears. Those are all things that I was able to let go of. And that the mind, then the body the mind was able to settle down and be at peace in that moment. With the body.
Can we all put dirt hair?
You can. I've been having creatures crawl. Like I've had things in my hair, and I just let go of those thoughts. So it's a growing place. Like it's stretching. Of course, if I was laying down and a lot of mosquitoes were on me at once, I probably would still maybe not like that. But for the moment, I was able to let some of that stuff go.
I had a different morning than the rest of you guys, and I enjoyed had a lot of busyness, so just things to get done. But even just the awareness of the intentionality to be still made all of those experiences prior to actually arriving here. Just the gaps in between leaving the hotel and getting to the airport, going through security, just finding the space in between moments where I had to communicate with somebody and things like that. They just felt larger, if that makes sense. Instead of just being frenetic or busy or playing music or whatever, but even just the intentionality to expand those spaces and stillness made them quieter, which was nice, even if the 24-hour silent retreat isn't possible in one's daily activities. Even just that awareness of how much you can increase the stillness was lovely. On my drive here, I'm not used to driving 2 hours silent. I'll typically play music of some kind, and my mind is off in a jukebox. And so I was inspired by the retreat and the focus of stillness. There was literally a song about stillness that rose up that I wanted to find in my phone and play and really sit, marinate in that on the way here. Just internally marinate in the lyrics and just enjoy that within and hear it.
I've been spending a lot of time in nature today. I don't know if that's the busyness maybe, but I don't think, it doesn't feel like it's me trying to keep myself busy. I'm seeing things differently, I believe, today. Something so simple as a snail. to look at the snail, and I just I literally envisioned like the hand, just like that the snail shell was actually handmade, and the squirrels put in, like handcrafted. It's really cool. And then there's some deer out there that were literally like from here to a little bit further than you from me. And it was really cool because I've stared, like I've never been that close to a deer and really staring at his eyes that way. That was like really cool to feel the oneness, like the connection, I guess, That was really cool. Because I've always known I'm connected. I've always like had that sense of, but never like really experienced it like that today. That was really neat. So cool. Because it takes a lot for me to be still, because I have to rise above a lot of pain. Because I'm always in pain, and when I'm not moving, that's when it's there. I don't feel it as much when I'm moving around, so it's a good thing to be still.
It's funny how you, as you start to enter into a space that you are not very familiar with, that you don't have words to communicate or ask the questions that may be rising up. Look for those words. Don't just make a statement. Look for those words. We always look for the words to make a statement and say, look, this is what I've experienced. But was it even you having the experience? We're always looking for those words, but then when you begin to have a new experience all of a sudden, like a baby again, you don't have words to communicate it. Like a small child that's just had a brand new experience, and they just don't know how to communicate exactly what that experience was. But look for those words.
Not necessarily a question, but literally as you were bringing that topic up, the thought was rising up as a result of sort of reflecting on the day thus far, how much interaction with others keeps us in that place of identifying with this. This form, this expression, still associating that with I.
You gave me that question yesterday when I asked you what is the emptiness and what is the space that we are. And you said to meditate on what is one drop of water. And I was searching on that, meditating on that today. And I kind of experienced, as I started to ask the question, I kind of like saw, I had this like kind of a vision thing that happened very quickly where I was, asking, what is a drop of water? And then I kind of like experienced how a drop of water changes. It doesn't stay a drop of water, and how it's a small part, but it's also connected to everything, and it travels and it changes shape and it communicates into everything. It literally is connected to everything. It was really hard for me to journal about it and write it down, that I even kind of experienced or felt or saw, like all in this rush of how a drop of water could start out being like in amniotic fluid and feeding a baby, and then it goes through that child's body, and then it becomes, sweat, and it evaporates, and it goes into a cloud, and then it's rained down on the earth, and it becomes part of a lake. And that same drop of water, how it never is destroyed, but it's continuously changing and flowing and passing on through all of life. And it just kind of like put me in awe and in wow of how much life is in us, but everything, even like just a drop of water. But it was really hard, like you said, even find the words to to answer, that question, or even to like write down that full experience, or even to describe it right now of what I kind of like saw when I was meditating. But it brought a little bit of awareness of how we're connected to everything, and everything is one. It was like a little glimpse. Just a little like piece. I don't feel any closer to knowing what exactly the space or the intent is. Or even that I fully even understand what one drop of water is, besides what I saw.
So then, tell me what 2 drops of water is. Mm-hmm. Please understand, the point isn't to come to some bit of knowledge. The point is to rid you of your knowledge. Your knowledge and your beliefs that, up to this point, kept you imprisoned. Austin, sure.
Yeah, well, this whole day has been me having random thoughts come up, and then I'll, like, just whatever will happen, I'll take a nap or something, and then I'll wake up with the same thoughts, or I'll go to sleep, have them, wake up saying, have weird dreams. And I've been trying to figure out, like, where my thoughts actually come from, because I was playing with the idea of, okay, if now is all there is and here is where I'm at and I'm always here, where do I keep going in my mind that is taking me away from here. Like, what is going on? So I haven't really got an answer, because I try to follow my thoughts, and it's like it just appears out of nowhere and it disappears back into nowhere, and I just haven't got anywhere with it.
Essence is not found asleep in a world of concepts.
What do you mean?
That's all I mean.
Okay.
Essence is not found asleep in a world of concepts. Did you come any closer to your tree?
No. No, I mean, I have a bunch of answers, but they're all like a knowledge thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's
no,
good.
I don't have the one.
That's good. You're rising beyond the foolish attempt to answer a question with your intellect. This is wonderful. That's the right answer. I don't have one. Sometimes that is the most beautiful of all answers. Were there any questions?
Just a point of order question, I guess. Is there a particular question you're asking us in our alone time to marinate on or meditate on in advance of satsangs, or just explore within wherever and however that looks?
No, I've given during yesterday's Day Beauty a question, a little one-on-one with Austin the other day before the silence began. I gave him a question, and same with Becca. So that was all that was in relation to it. So as you're exploring what's going on within, a lot of times you're really not within, are you? And what does it mean to be within? What are you within? When I say explore within, which one of you wants to explain what I mean? And yet nobody asked, well, what do you mean, Silas? Oh, it's just, okay, yeah. I'll go explore within. And it doesn't even matter if you have heard in your past, a million other teachers come and say, this is what it means to explore within. It does not mean that is what I mean when I say go explore within. Maybe I don't even know what I mean when I say explore within. How would you know if you don't ask?
Okay, Silas, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say that?
Well, because the only one who could explore within would be the one with the concept that thinks that they are an outside, but has it within. The question presupposes an identification with something other than essence anyway.
Right. It's only the concept that searches. It's only your beliefs that search.
So you've been intentional for the while that I've known you about not showing us who we are, but helping us realize who we are not. So the question or the invitation isn't to go within, because that's still identifying in who we are not.
No. Didn't say that. The one who's searching thinks that, just like the one who meditates believes this is something they must do. Is trying to come to enlightenment, trying to find awakening, trying to discover something. But the one who is, so this one who's meditating, who is this? Who's this one that's searching, that's meditating? It's a concept. It's the idea of you. Right? It's the form, your belief structures, your past, your imagination, your intellect. All of these things are working because in them they cannot help but to look around. This one cannot help but look around and go, wow, there has to be something bigger than, more than what I've experienced. There has to be something bigger to this thing, and there's just this feeling as if it's not complete. And that's the thing with ego. It will never feel complete. It will never feel complete. It will search and search and search. It will go looking outside of itself to find itself forever, until eventually it dies. One way or another, it's going to die. One way or another, the concept, the thing that you've believed about yourself will die. That's good news. So if to go within, if you, who you truly are, cannot go within. What do I mean when I say explore what's within you? What is happening there?
Well, the thing I just wrote down was, I cannot go within. I am the within.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So who's the one that's saying he is the within? You see, even our language, we do it, right? So it's I am the one within.
Well, what I wrote was, I am within.
Yeah, within.
I added.
And without.
I had sometimes thought when people talked about going within or turning within, that it was like shifting your focus instead of mentally, but kind of like what I call turning inside towards my heart, or I don't know how to explain it, but shifting my focus to where I'm feeling presence and awareness of presence versus, thinking or letting my mind wander.
Mm-hmm. And this is wonderful. Don't if you ever hear me say something and you think I'm against something or don't like an approach, or it's probably not true. Probably reading into something. This is great. Shift. As long as you're in that place, then shift that focus. Come back. Bring it back. The mind begins to wander. At least you've become aware that it's wandering. Most people are never aware. You stay so busy. 90% of the busy is in your mind. 90% of the busy is in your mind. The other 10% is actual busyness, is actually doing things. But 90% of it is all in your head. And then you go on this silent retreat, and for 24 hours you can't say anything, and you're like, oh man, you find, I've got to go do something. I was even observing a couple of you, and some of you will you've slowed down as the day went on. When we first began the silence, it was a scurry. When Katina walked to go to the bathroom, she was kind of just walking at her normal pace. I've seen she slowly, because she's realized I have nowhere to go. I cannot get anywhere. No matter how fast I go to the bathroom, it won't matter. I still have all this time to do nothing.
I took my shoes off on purpose for that reason right there.
Good. This is
Because
wonderful.
I recognized when I was walking
Beautiful.
that I'm like, because I do that at work and they always tell me I need to slow down.
Yeah.
They're too fast. And so I did. That's because I am not a barefoot walker, and I knew that if I took my shoes
Yeah,
off,
beautiful.
then I would go slow. And so I did that for a reason.
But did you realize? I hope. See, I don't. I'm been over the summer. I've gradually been moving farther and farther away from. I've said it for a while that I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be the teaching. And I've been gradually moving farther and farther away from just trying to give you something. Just this is it. I'm going to give you a revelation. I'd much rather point you in the direction, and you go, yes. And because it's still the discovery of essence, one way or another. But when you discover something, when you are, if I say, slow down, well, then you just slow down. But this is great. But if you slow down because you realize, I cannot get to where I'm going any faster because I'm only here. There's nowhere to get to. There's nothing to be in a hurry for. When your mind's wandering and going crazy and you're, I wonder what's going to happen, or what's going on, or if I need to eat, or if I should do this, or maybe I need to use the bathroom, or I've been staring at these trees for the last 3 hours. I don't know. There's got to be somebody I can just talk to. But when all of this is happening, it's just that we literally have all this extras. We have all this space in which has been designated so that you have nowhere to go, nothing to say. There's no possibility of getting in a hurry. And in this moment, I hope you're realizing, even when you're not here, that to be in a hurry is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Unless you're on a motorcycle on the interstate, and then it's just fun. That's different. It's a different kind of hurry. Yeah, there's nowhere to be, is there? So these little satsangs will be the first time for some of you that you've thought to yourself, I wish Silas wouldn't stop talking.
I noticed that I started asking myself the question, like, why am I here? Especially after I had noticed that my mind just went on a big run, on a big loop of thoughts, and I was like, it was just wandering and wandering and wandering, and then I was like, why am I here? Like, what is it that, why am I actually here? Like, it's like a retreat. What is it that I'm wanting to experience? Why, what's the point of being silent? Like, I just, like, kind of like searching inside for those kind of questions, and, you know, and then part of me is like, well, no, I'm not here just to see my friends. I'm not here just to be quiet. I'm not here, you know. I just kind of like had an awareness that we're all on our own journeys and paths, even if we cross and we're together in moments. But I was just like, all I have is this moment, but why am I here? What am I doing with this, you know, moment? So that was a big question I kind of asked over and over today. I didn't have an answer, but...
Well, here's something for you to meditate on. What does one do when their path comes to a dead end? It's a marvelous thing.
Do you not want us to respond to that?
No, I just want you to meditate on it.
So the question that you asked in response to that statement, I cannot go within, I am within, you said, who is the one within? Is that not our essence, that we feel all, we are in all?
Of course. There's an enormous some of the way that you recognize the difference between knowledge and enlightenment or awakening to something is that, for instance, when you recognize that you are that which is, there is no more seeing of self, and every time you see self, you go, ah. There is no more seeing, there is no more idea of self. Some of the way that plays out is anytime you've ever been offended or upset, anytime you've ever experienced a like or a dislike, who was it that was having that like or dislike? Who was it that came to this bit of knowledge or information or conclusion? The same one that comes to that conclusion, do not like broccoli, is the same one that says, the essence is within, I am the essence within. They are also the same one that says, this is good and this is evil. So I'm not pointing to information. If the reason why I'm asking more questions is because I want to point you to something where it will birth, if you who you truly are can realize this, okay, like transcend the concept that you are, then it's no longer, and even if you can't even articulate it, it doesn't matter, because you're no longer information. No, it doesn't matter. You've realized something, and that realization will continue to unfold. But when you realize something, when you come to this place of realization, it's so much bigger than having that information. And so the mind is quick to fill itself with more information. Even in meditation, oftentimes in these types of things, satsangs or teachings or classes, if I'm teaching, you're real quick, sometimes you can feel the mind, even sometimes you get in a hurry, I'm going to jot this down because this is good information. But it is only good if you take it and, like I said when I started, treat your journals the way that I just gave you a little insight into. I'll write something in my journal, but then I will sometimes meditate on that for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It's something I realized something that hit me. It's like revelation comes. I jot it in my journal, but then I don't go, oh yeah, got it. I'll meditate on it. I'll search it out. I want to see this thing unfold, where it's as easy just to say, oh, well, I understand it's ego that gets offended. And then your friend comes up and punches you in your face. Well, then we get to find out real quick whether or not you ego, or whether or not this is information, or whether or not this is a actual revelation. Right? And so it's... the mind is so quick to judge everything, and it through this perceptional lens right here. David, are you the one seeing, or are you? You don't have to answer. You can, but you don't have to. Are you the one seeing, the one looking through these eyes, or are you the one feeling that which is seen through those eyes? so many people are having out-of-body experiences. I would love for you each this weekend to have an inner-body experience.
Well, I've been meditating on that since, I mentioned to you the other day, back a while, whenever you mentioned about, the flow, about, are you the one breathing, or are you the breath filling? And I've been carrying that.
Yeah,
And
that's good.
right now it still feels like I'm the one seeing and the one being filled. The attention to that greater reality, I wonder how that, I don't know how that will feel, if there will be a perspective shift, if there will be what that awareness experience will feel like, where it's like you really know from that place of understanding experientially that you're truly the one doing the filling, not the one being filled. You mentioned out of body. I wonder if it would feel something like that, or I don't know. It was just curious.
Out of body experiences happen often, but very few people experience inner body experiences.
What is that?
Because what they're always, all that they experience of their body is they believe it is them. So when they peer through these eyes, it is me seeing. When I feel my skin, it is me feeling my skin. What if you're that which is animating the body? What if you're home right now? Been saying for quite some time, and I've been saying it as a joke. I wonder how many of you have heard it as more than a joke. But when I run into people, they say, "Where are you from?" I say, "Right here." They say, "Oh, from whatever city I'm in." "No, from here." No, right here. And they ask again, "From here?" "No, from right here." If their eyes were open, they would be blind. But because they are blind, it doesn't bother them. Welcome home. That's the experience that is this recognizing you are the breath. The realization of being the breath is that inner body experience. One of the ways you begin some of the perceptual shifts, I'll just share one little perceptual shift with you. The perceptual shift that takes place is, I believe it in the scriptures it says that Jesus did not judge with I don't know that it says the eyes of men, but it says that he judged with righteous judgments. Did not judge with righteous judgments. And what happens, one of those perceptual shifts that happens, is everything you see, you no longer judge. In other words, you find yourself you stop even judging the likes and dislikes. You stop looking around and going, "That's ridiculous. What are they doing? Why would they say this? Why would they do that?" Anyway. So you have to realize that you are the temple of the Spirit before you can realize that you've never been the temple of the Spirit.
trying to explain that.
Yeah.
I thought I'd leave it right there for you.
What did you do?
Did any of you have experiences? Have any of you taken a nap while you were here?
I started to.
Woke myself up snoring.
Okay. Didn't think I
But I didn't have any intention of falling asleep. I was just in a state of meditation, and then I found myself woke up snoring. But what happens is, how many of you have experienced, if you are actually, have you ever fallen asleep in meditation, like in a real state of meditation?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your experience? Anyone?
I started to have lucid kind of like visions before you get in that dream state, but you're not fully asleep yet. Like those were started to come, and that's what made me realize that I was starting to fall asleep because of starting to see and hear things that were from the mind, like the lucid state.
Okay.
And then I full on like blacked out.
When you are in I asked, I said, has anybody fallen asleep and in a true state of meditation? Oh, yes, you're.
How do we know if we're in a true state of meditation?
This is what I was wondering if somebody was going to ask that question. Such a great question. Thanks for asking.
I didn't say yes. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been in a state of meditation.
I know I've fallen asleep when attempting to meditate,
See,
but I
This
don't
is
know
good.
that I've ever experienced a true state of meditation.
and this is a great question, because instead of the mind immediately going, yeah, I've meditated and fallen asleep, and just coming to its own conclusion, you stopped and you said, yeah, I've fallen asleep while trying to meditate, but maybe that's not what he's saying. When the intellect is working in meditation, this is not a true state of meditation. And so when the intellect is working in meditation and you fall asleep, but something completely different begins to take place. You begin to have dreams, or you begin to go into just, you're not having any experience, you black out, you kind of go from transitions into something completely different. If you are in what I said was a true state of meditation, in that place of stillness, everything that was already there on the forefront of your being, what you were seeing, experiencing, feeling, moves right into the sleep. There's no difference between the sleep and meditation. Matter of fact, for a lot of you, your best meditation comes when you're asleep. Problem is, often you're going to sleep and you're participating in your mind in all kinds of other things right before you go to sleep, and so the mind's working actively and involved in all these other things. And so instead of falling asleep with that thing that you wanted to meditate on, that thing that you really wanted to set your mind upon, Philippians 4:8 says, whatever things are good, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are true, whatever things are of good report, set your mind on such things. Christians do a great job at that. If you do this, even if that's what you were doing and you were practicing with your intellect and you would fall asleep, oftentimes your sleep would be the truest sense of meditation, because at least it would carry over into that And in your sleep, your mind would at least be actively begin working in that way. This would be a truer sense of meditation than probably what you're experiencing when awake. When there's no more thought, this is a true sense of meditation.
Like, what if you're not experiencing anything? Like it's just nothing. Like you're not aware of your body or of yourself.
With what?
With meditation. Like you're not experiencing anything. It's just nothing. Just like you don't exist.
This is great.
And
This is wonderful unless it's a thought. And even then, it's still wonderful. That's good. It's okay. As a matter of fact, that's much closer to true meditation. That's the place of stillness. Isn't I'm perceiving stillness. This is not what I mean by stillness. When I say this is an opportunity for you guys to realize something, right? You can have an experience or you can realize. The realization of something is much bigger than just the experience of it.
also, say you have this experience where you experience nothing. Like you're not aware of it until afterwards. Because you're obviously not aware that you're experiencing nothing because you're not experiencing anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
There's no awareness that you're experiencing nothing when you're experiencing nothing.
Correct.
Like, so you have that experience, then what are you supposed to realize from that?
You can't experience nothing.
Huh?
You can't experience nothing.
Right.
But nothing can experience something. Makes perfect sense in my mind. It's so clear to me. It's so crystal clear.
There, but not there.
You cannot experience nothing, but
Right.
nothing can experience something.
No, I'm with you on the first part.
Mhm.
Because if you're experiencing nothing, then you're not experiencing nothing.
True experiences.
Yeah, I get. I'm aware of that.
Nothing can experience something.
Okay.
Matter of fact, it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. See? Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
That's so much better than me just trying to tell you something, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
See how much better that is than me just explaining it, and then you explain something and the intellect starts churning, it starts to try to figure it out. You give somebody something they can't figure out in the intellect, and all of a sudden, the lights go off. It's good. I like that authentic smile. That was beautiful. Yes. Yeah.
It might be a communication thing, but nothing is still something. I mean, there's the concept of nothing, at least.
That's what I'm talking about.
Clearly. But to be nothing is to be something.
It would just be. Being has never tried anything. Being has never become anything. It has unfortunately identified as lots of things. And this is when you no longer be. And that stillness, and again, words only communicate through duality, right? But that stillness or that nothingness then becomes lost. Because you're always seeing something. And then you hang on to that something that is experienced, and you're completely missing the something, present something, because of the something that's in your memory. It's what the person does, is always accumulating ideas and thoughts, always accumulating information, bringing it into itself. It's filling itself up. I've told all of you the story of the cup, the monk. And last summer, during the mentorship last summer, see, this is not memory. I could not tell you what I talked about last summer, but it just comes up out of me. During mentorship last summer, I used that analogy again before the mentorship, and I said, and what came out of that was that you're not the cup. Remember? Be an empty cup so that you can realize that you're not the cup. Sometimes it's even better to be broken, because at least you're a little bit empty. The problem is you're often still identified as the cup. Instead of it just being identified as a pretty cup, you identify as a broken one. But at least you're not a fool that thinks you have obtained something.
Thank God for that.
And then you hear people say, well, be grateful for pain. It lets you know you're alive. Like, it just further cements their identification in that
Absolutely.
cup.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I was thankful for pain last year because it helped me realize more than ever that I wasn't the body. It did not help me realize I was alive. But it helped me shed more layers than had already been shed, and I went into that experience knowing I was not this body is my home. That's one of many homes, but it is the main home that I share, that I experience. And I get to have this experience, and I find that oftentimes I'll still see through a perception lens, and then sometimes I'm having that inner experience where it's realize I'm not the one seeing it all. I'm just having this experience and enjoying the sight. So it's no longer I'm seeing, but I'm just enjoying the picture. It's a huge difference, but yeah, last year though, that experience, you go into it thinking, oh, no, I'm not my body. I know that I'm not the body. Two or 3 months in, be on the couch, you're frustrated, and that's when you do one of two things. You're either going to continue to be frustrated, or you're going to transcend that frustration and empty yourself so that you can realize something more beautiful. And each one of you have that experience with me often. You can, with one another, with lots of people. How many over the course of the last couple of weeks, how many times have you felt frustration? Yeah. Well, this is awesome. This is great. One of two things will happen. You'll continue to be frustrated. You'll continue, you will go through the cycles. Or you will let it go and realize something, sink into the frustration. Why am I feeling this way? What is this feeling? Who's the one that's feeling this way? Great questions to ask. Like I was telling Austin, you're not the one that's meditating. So meditate until you realize that you're not the one meditating. Right. It's not enough just to have the information, is it? The reason why you're all here is because you've grown tired of the information. You realize that it's not enough just to have information.
So did you ask us to go within until we realize that we are not the ones who can go within?
Of course, always go within until you realize that. Of course. Anytime you're out here living in an exterior world, in a world of concepts, you must go within. And if you've realized that there's a big difference between what you experience when you go within and what you experience here, or if you're in the city, you're going out to a show, you're working, whatever it is that you're doing, and in the busyness, and then you have these moments where you're like, like you were talking about, just recognizing the space between those moments. It's as if you were expanding the space. It feels because this is going within. You're experiencing something here, and so it feels as if you're expanding this, or as if you're stretching time. Like instead of, you have the same amount of time, but it feels much more relaxed. It feels much longer. It feels easy. So you're in this madness out here, but you're always at peace here. The stillness is here. You're not finding it because we're out here in the forest by some tranquil water. It's not why you're experiencing in those moments of stillness, when the mind actually has calmed down. And like I said, the first 24 hours, after you get to a certain point, and your mind start to go. First few hours, it feels wonderful, doesn't it, Austin? And then it's starting to... and then...
No, I panicked. Like, I went off the deep end. I fucking lost my shit.
So good.
I'm doing great now.
Who's the one who lost their shit?
The one that needed to.
No, I'm doing fabulous now. There was a moment where I was convinced that when you said you have to lose your life in order to find it, that your intent was to bore me to death, literally. But I've moved beyond that point. I was like, Silas is trying to kill me. I've moved beyond that, though.
Yeah, boredom is always when the mind is looking for stimulus. You'll feel bored.
Mm-hmm.
Boredom's a non-existent thing. When you in the realization of who you are, boredom is gone out the window.
Mm-hmm.
That's why last year when I was joking about solitary confinement, you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mentorship's not over this summer.
Yeah, I could put you guys in solitary confinement. Put you in like a closet. Shut the door. One little light. Make you stay in there for a week.
You better soundproof her room.
Slide some food tray under the door. Each one of you grew up within a system that taught information, and a system that basically spoon-fed you this idea that when you come, I give you something. I'm giving you revelation. I'm giving you what you need to know. I'm giving you all that you need to know about who you are, what to believe, what to think. Right. And so you've gotten very used to going to a conference. Most people go to a conference and they go and they hear all kinds of stuff that they know going into that conference. Most of them, that they're going because they have the same thoughts and feelings that they're sharing at this conference. Now, if you're going to a prophetic conference, you clearly are excited about the prophetic, for the most part, right? Or wanting to be prophesied to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so you go and and you hear stuff and hallelujah, and you walk away really feeling encouraged. Ego loves that shit. And the ego walks out the door. For about 2 weeks, ego's on top of the world. And it walked by the janitor at your school or at your workplace, and it's like, hey, brother, I've got a word for you. and you're seeing, and you're actually seeing and hearing some fairly accurate, some people really accurate, some people not at all. Some people are just missing it entirely. But a lot of them are actually seeing and hearing some accurate things. 2 weeks goes by. And it's done. Now I gotta sign up for the next conference. But they are so excited about the next conference because they felt so good for 2 weeks. Done with that. You are going to, whether it's classes coming up, the Ekstasis Institute school year, or whether it's things like this kind of retreat or a flow event or whatever, you're going to get out of it what you're going to realize, and what you're going to awaken to, that thing that enlightens you is coming from within you. And each one of you, not if I give you information, you all walk away, you go, oh yeah, look, I've filled my cup. Look, we all have this same understanding. But I say one thing, and Becca goes, ah, yes, and Beauty's going, because it was for her.
Yeah.
It was for her. She was in the place to be able to. She's been frustrated by that thing long enough. Even the other day I told her, I know you get frustrated with me when I talk mystical and stuff. I know you do. But it's because I love you. It's because I love you. Right? So in those moments when you get frustrated, it's that or whatever, it's fine. Those moments when you get frustrated, this is great. Sit in it. Come to the end of it. You're going to receive what you get. Don't listen to a teaching and go, I want that. Some people I've talked to recently that, I want to be a teacher like you. No, you don't. Trust me, you do not want to be a teacher. Why be a teacher? Why?
I'm happy just teaching my kids.
I teach people all the time. Conversation.
My desire is this, to be a teaching. In other words, if it's not something that can be seen, then it's not something for you to recognize. I was asked by one of the hundreds of emails I've gotten recently to clarify my beliefs. Like a public statement of what I believe. But apparently I just found out that Mr. Crowder was in on it and wrote a long, lengthy thing about me or something. And so others are coming, rightfully so. I didn't even know this. I didn't know why they were saying this, but clarify what you believe. Tell us what you stand for, what you believe, what you're all about, what's going on in your relationship, in your marriage. Yeah, clarify for us. And
If they listen to the YouTube videos that are free,
yeah, for
then
sure.
they would get all the clarity they need.
Yeah, for sure.
But what the fuck is Austin doing all of this work for?
For the ones that watch it.
Hello?
Yeah.
It's all right there.
Yeah. My response, I don't even remember who it was, but my response to this person was, I have no beliefs. To clarify.
Yeah. Send them to the YouTube channel so that they'll watch and we'll get more.
Not a terrible idea.
So if you would like to know what I believe, it's all
Yeah, the
Watch
introduction,
all our videos.
the Silas
Yeah.
Well,
story.
no, you will have no doubt in your mind
There you
about
go.
what I am teaching.
Subscribe. With a little,
Yeah.
please subscribe.
And you'll know exactly what I'm
Stay on top
teaching constantly.
Stay on top.
If you want to know what I'm teaching, this is a great way to keep on top of me and keep an eye on me.
Ring the bell for notifications.
Yeah, and leave us a comment with your questions, because that helps.
That's good. I
You want
like
to stay
this
on top
idea.
of what I'm up to? This is the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep track. Right, take notes.
They clearly haven't been.
I mean, even if it's just to be like, can you believe he said this? At
Right.
least the views are going up.
That's right. It's not the worst idea ever. But back to you, we're saying.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's like,
you have no
obvious, like-
beliefs to clarify.
Like, what are you teaching? Duh. This is not rocket science. You can find out exactly what you're teaching. It's all right there.
Part of it is.
Well, we stopped recording.
But who you are, the point is that who you are beyond all of those beliefs. That's all that matters. This is all that matters. We've always been trying to believe for something, yeah?
Huh.
Who's the one been having to believe?
Only who we think we are needs that belief.
Absolutely. If I just believe this, then I can. Well, if I believe this, then I can be saved. If I believe this, then I'll be healed. If I believe this, then I'll have this. If I believe this, then I get this. This is just a concept. You are living as a concept in a world of concepts, needing to bring in, add more to yourself. The concept will always try to add to itself.
So, as we become aware that we are nothing and everything, then the concept just becomes like a story that you're writing. That you get to create the plot.
I don't honestly want to create the story. I'd rather just watch it unfold.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're not just having an individual experience. You are not essence that is having an individual experience. So as essence is having, what is essence experiencing? Everything. And yet you are recognizing essence individually. Try to write a story about everything. See how that goes. But you can watch it unfold. Become aware of its unfolding. And you can enjoy the individual experience. And as that experience broadens beyond the individual, then you get to enjoy that as well. But you can start by enjoying that individual experience, enjoying that thing that up until this point humanity has been petrified of, scared to death of.
I think that, like this morning when I first started meditating, like the thought just came up, like, in order to find yourself, you have to lose yourself, which is exactly what you told me to meditate on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like kind of frustrated because I was like, well, that's exactly what Silas told me to meditate on.
She's such a rebel. She's such a rebel.
But, like, I realized in that statement that, like, I was really afraid. Like, I've been meditating for years, but I've never, like, the moment that I've started to go into that nothingness, I have pulled out because I was afraid of losing myself in that. And this is the first time that I've ever just said, okay, I'm done with that. Like, I don't need to maintain my individuality or my self or my identity. It's no longer worth it. And I experienced something or didn't experience something or had the lack of experience of anything. And I feel like everything's shifted.
Good.
But I think that there's that fear. Like, am I going to lose myself? Am I going to lose my individuality?
Ego's always afraid because it can't recognize love.
Yeah. Like, I think that people resist the idea of oneness and isness because they're afraid to lose themselves.
Yeah, the ego, I get that all the time. And there's because ego feels like it has something to finish. There's a story to finish. It doesn't want to lose itself. It doesn't want to die. Ego always has lots to lose. It has accumulated so much shit. It has so much to lose. Anytime you ever feel like, that's mine, I don't want to, all that. Okay.
Like, even your identity.
Yeah.
Like, you even...
Well, I'm offended. I'm upset. You're irritating me. You took something that's mine. All of these things are ego. The ego is losing something.
Your independence.
Yeah. The illusion. All illusions. All illusions.
So that's a side question. But, like, today I think I've been hearing, like, the fish talk to me and the trees talk to me and the bugs talk to me. Is that my mind looking for stimulus, or do these things communicate with us?
Or you're
like,
tripping on LSD.
telepathically?
No.
I saw Austin slip one of those mushrooms into your tea that you were drinking. It sounded like raining.
I thought it was my tea, but it was yours.
Legit. I'm like,
It doesn't matter.
does it matter?
Does it?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. It's kind of wild.
It's like saying, I heard myself think today. This is the most wild thing ever. Is it me hearing myself think? Or is it something else? That's what I heard with your question. Does it matter?
Well, the trees have voices.
You did not hear what I said.
I did.
You did not hear what I said. Otherwise, you would not have come back with the trees and voices.
Well, honestly, I just really, really have to pee. So it's kind of distracting because I'm like, I've been holding it for a really long time because I don't want to miss anything.
Bummer, I should have peed before.
I didn't know I was gonna have to. I did over there, but then it occurred to me that I don't know if he can see over there.
You can go over there behind the trees over here on this side.
Yeah,
They can't see
the
through.
pine trees are great, but I don't know.
There's a place in the middle of
I
them.
can see.
I think you can escape.
Turning off.
Yep.
It's a fucking jukebox.
I've had the Trevor Hall's entire new album, like in order. Go from it.
Well, no, mine's always just triggered by things that people say.
Okay.
And when like songs and phrases come out.
Like
All he said was, "There's a place," and I'm already singing a song.
Let's draw back in. Let's not get distracted with pee and things. You can go pee if you need to, but I'm not going to stop.
I know. So,
My bladder's too loud. I'm not present anyway.
You could just pee in the seat. Wait, is that mine?
my sisters.
She won't mind.
Only if you give it You just said that the ego's always afraid because it can't recognize love. And love has no self, and egos only know selves and concepts. Is that why it can't recognize love?
Yeah,
Say that again.
yes. The ego always says, he's always so thankful for love. And then 2 minutes later, scared, is afraid of losing that same thing. It's not love at all. Ego is continually searching for love, never really finding love, because it can't. You can only find concepts and ideas. This is the reason why we hang on relationally the way that people do. They hang on relationally. And yet you all have experienced by now, people come and people go. People say they love you 1 minute, and the next minute they hate you. And then they love you again, and then they hate you. But in the moment, the ego still goes, I'm so in love. And then 2 hours later, I fell out of love. I fell out of love. Well, I loved them, but then they did this. Now I don't love them anymore. And ego's incapable of understanding because it only understands concepts. You can't add love to you. You can't understand what you are. You cannot understand what you are. That's called self-consciousness. When you think you understand who you are, it's called self-consciousness. This is one of the biggest deceptions of ego. I will say this, beauty, and the trees and the frogs and the fishies and the little caterpillars are speaking. Put it aside. Return to the stillness. Go back within. You're not here for the caterpillars or the fishies. So regardless of whether it's something that you're having, whether or not, we'll just use the word, whether it's real or not, or it's just your imagination, regardless of whatever it is, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Come back. To hear your own thought. Has it ever occurred to you? Whose thought are you hearing?
Since I've met you. Not naturally.
Or even like voices. Or voices, thoughts. Communication.
The question is, has there ever been more than one voice? So come back. Come back to the stillness of the one.
So Christ in his own awakening to Christ, Jesus in his awakening to Christ, and saying, Father, if it's possible, take this cup from me, was not yet at a place of seeing all as perfect yet, or that such a request wouldn't even be necessary. He'd simply be able to look at it and say, this is good, too, right?
Clearly, yeah. Yeah, he, have you ever realized something and then had to have the same experience multiple times over before you, to realize the thing that you already thought you realized?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Just be like the old farmer. That's good. Did you hear, were you in the class? I don't think you were in the class. The old farmer. For you and Beauty was it?
Satsang, was that the first time you told it? In the following class?
I don't remember when, did I say it in the Satsang or did I say it to...
In the class.
Since I've already heard it already.
Because it's not
Sorry, Beauty. Just attended the Satsang.
You should have attended the Satsang, she yells as she runs off.
Of course, she assumes that she can't hear it for a first time. No.
There was an old farmer, and he woke up one morning, and his horse, his prize stallion, had run away. And so the neighbors came and said, "Oh, we heard about your stallion. We're so sorry. We're so sorry that your stallion ran away." And he said, "Oh, it's good. It's good. It's okay. It's good." The next day, the stallion returned with 3 wild horses. And the neighbors came to him and said, "Oh, what luck. Oh, look at what luck you have. This is great. We came to just let you know. We're so excited for you. Your stallion returned and it brought 3 wild horses with it. Wow, so lucky." And he goes, "Yeah, it's good. It's good." The next day, his son is riding one of the wild horses. He gets thrown and breaks his leg. The neighbors came and said, "Oh, What we thought was luck, after all, turned out to be bad luck. Your son was thrown, broke his leg. We came to offer our condolences. If you need anything, let us know. He says, oh, it's good, it's good. The next day, the army recruiters that were drafting young men to go to war came through his village. And upon seeing the son with a broken leg, walked right past him. And again, the neighbors came and said, oh, what luck! Your son didn't have to get drafted. This is so good, so good. And the farmer says, yeah, it's good. You like the old farmer. You will always see ups and downs when you see through this lens of your beliefs and what you think. Things will always look up and down. But when you, when and if and as you begin to see as you truly are, there's no more mountains to climb and valleys to descend into. There's just rest. There's just the stillness. There's nothing. It's good. It's good. You cannot crucify an invisible man. You cannot capture the wind, can you? You cannot destroy the temple made without hands, can you? You think you can. People think they can, and so they kill one another. But this is actually just bringing you life.
David's had some conversations the last handful of days with two men that I used to really look up to, like the place that I was at, and in conversations with both of them, I didn't envy the place that they are, the weight of their belief system, the weight of situations because of their belief system, and even one of them, he had attended some business luncheon or something with a guest speaker who came in, and he was heralding this man as something to aspire to, I think maybe, or sort of in just a place of reverence. But he said that this is a man who's really called to suffer for Christ, and everything in me just really saddened that was something to aspire to, and he was like, yeah, because that's part of the gospel, suffering. I was like, I mean,
How is that gospel?
I didn't feel the need to rebuttal anything, but I just, with him, I was just like, wow.
and they will suffer. They will experience suffering. And it'll be good. I found that instead of feeling the need to be right, I'll end up saying things like, you should go hard after that suffering. Like, really suffer. If you're going to do it, really do it. Like, really suffer. You know, like, this is really go hard. If you're going to keep the law, really keep the law. Don't just keep part of the law. Return all the way to your Jewish roots and keep all of the law. Or all the way to your Muslim roots and keep all of the law. You know, if you're going to keep the law, keep it all. Keep all of it. It's going to bring them to the end of themselves. Some way. Some way. Yes, you're right. The beliefs are a heavy burden to carry.
Yeah, people just don't do that. Like, I know Orthodox Jews who, you know, you'd think that those people would come to the end of it, but they pay people to turn on their lights on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like, they find ways around it so that they're technically keeping the law, but they're not. You know, so it's like,
that's why Jesus would come to the guy that says, he said, I tell you the truth. If you lust after a woman in your heart, you're guilty of adultery. And I tell you the truth, if you've ever had hatred towards your brother, you're guilty of murder. And then Jesus adds the next layer, right? The next layer. They're pointing fingers and judging the murderer. And he goes, but I tell you the truth, if you've ever sat in disgust of someone, you're a murderer. What?
I've been murdered many times. I have a knack at getting murdered. Certain people.
Yeah, always to take it to the next level, because it's impossible to keep. And not only is it impossible to keep, but see, the one that thinks it's capable of keeping it is empowered and fueled by the ability to do something. Ego will do and do and do and do and do to try to become. The I that feels separated from the M will always do to become. It will strive. It'll work really hard. And it's okay.
So you do something because you believe it's the right thing to do, but all you have to show for it is feeling good about doing the right thing.
I feel good that I'm putting a check in that box, but I hate the whole thing that I'm doing.
Exactly.
Have you ever had like a negative thought about yourself
Never.
and then got really offended that you had the negative thought about you?
No.
Not that I would characterize it and say I got really offended that I had
I'm upset about it.
People are used,
I
people,
believe
the people, the ego, are really used to having negative thoughts about them. But never have you had a negative thought about yourself and then been offended that you had a negative thought about yourself. How how dare I have this thought about me? What is wrong with that person? You are, yeah, no, never has this happened. And yet it happens every time you have a negative thought about someone else. Someone laughs at you or they say something and what's wrong with it? All the self-consciousness rolls in. How dare me have a negative thought about me? This is what you're saying.
I question myself. Like, why are you thinking that about yourself? Like in thought. Like, you shouldn't do that.
That's very different.
So-
But
that's different?
that's
Okay.
different, but that's still good. Who's the one thinking about who? And seriously, who's the one thinking? I'm questioning myself about the thoughts that I have. So I'm questioning the thoughts that I have about who I am, about myself. Who's the one that's having the question? Who's the one that's questioning the thinking? Who's questioning who? You're saying you're questioning yourself.
The I in me. I guess probably.
It's almost like there's two of you.
Sometimes 3, 4,
Yeah.
5.
There you go.
I'm multiple.
We call that demonic possession.
Get the holy
If-
water.
if- You know, in some circles right now, they'd be performing an exorcism. I'm serious.
Some people get checks for it.
Check, like,
Like money? I mean,
Okay.
Offending people.
one of the things that I just kind of one of the things that I noticed is that the desire for another doesn't matter what the desire is always this conceptualized idea. It's this idea, it's a conceptualized egoic perception that actually interferes with the enjoyment of another. Or of self. Desire to control. Desire for people to, they should after all do what you think they should do.
That's right.
Yeah. You should do what I think you should do. It's obvious. Doing it my way is the right way. How dare you not want to do it my way? And just like the bottle. Years ago, I would have been like, not in this setting probably, but I would have been like, well, yeah, I'm even in this setting. This is supposed to be a really serious weekend. Right up until everybody breaks loose, right? It's supposed to be a serious time of real inner reflection and stuff. I could have, years ago, I probably would have been like, really? You're just gonna crinkle that thing up right in the middle of a Satsang and just like you don't give a two fucks about anything? Like, what in the world? You know, really? And now, if I realize any agitation or irritation, I go, oh, thank you. Thank you for the gift. I didn't have any agitation. I didn't honestly even realize you were doing it until everybody stopped. But it's fun to harass you about, I'm sure. But that agitation, if the agitation comes, you go, what a gift. Crinkled bottle gets to remind me of something so much more beautiful. Gets to remind me of who I am.
It's a wonderful opportunity to realize that noise is not the absence of stillness. Or sound.
Sound and silence are the same thing. Another koan for you to meditate on. If you don't think you comprehend that, write it down and meditate on it. It'll be good for you. Any other questions?
What is a koan?
It's just a phrase or short story designed. I didn't even know what koan was. I speak in koan all the time, and it's because this is always the way that Jesus would encounter me, and I would always hear this. And even biblically, Jesus he's often, not always, but often speaks in koan. You know, when he said, unless a man lose his life, he will not find it. It's just Koan. But it's a Buddhist, koan is a Buddhist term. It's basically a phrase meant to frustrate your intellect. So it's meant to be meditated on and really bring you to the end of your thinking. And so you think about it until enlightenment comes. When enlightenment comes, you're beyond your thinking, because it's not something that can be thought of. It's not something that has an intellectual meaning that you can really grasp. And so it's, but I didn't even know until this last year. We were out to lunch with Rob, came to a satsang, and he goes, why do you always speak in koans? And he says, and especially to this one person, you speak in koans to her all the time more. I think you're trying to frustrate her more than anybody. And I said, well, I don't even know what the koan is, bro. Like, what are you talking about? He goes, he thought for sure, I'm just making koans up or something, I guess, sitting all day. I said, I had no idea. He told me what a koan was. But it's just a word. Yeah. Let's sit here for a minute before I wrap up. And I want to give you guys just a space, another couple minutes of stillness here. If another question rises up, then I'll give you the opportunity to ask those questions at that point. I'll give you some space to let it breathe. And everybody knows these waters are corporate community waters, right? And then, what is today? Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You got here today? Wow.
Terrible.
Really?
I mean, I don't know what time it is.
I didn't know I was seeing you here yesterday.
I was with you.
Yeah. I thought you pulled up. So, yeah, I'll give you guys that. We'll have stillness, obviously, the rest of the night. I'll make a fire here in a little bit, and we can sit around the fire. And then tomorrow we'll just see where tomorrow goes. But I want to take tomorrow night. I was trying to decide whether I wanted to end the silence tomorrow night or whether I wanted to end it Sunday morning. I think I'll probably end it after our satsang tomorrow night, because I mostly just for so that we can fellowship. I don't want it to. We can sit and talk longer, engage with one another, do whatever. But I think we'll end it tomorrow. I think next year, so something that I might end up doing annually, I might expand it so that it's actually 3 days. And then maybe the year after, as it expands, I told Austin, I said, this is a beautiful place to do it. I said, maybe next year, maybe hopefully we'll have enough where we can have to rent 2 sites, reserve this one and get this one. And I'd love to see it. It was expanded where we could get 2 or 3 or 4 sites and put 8 people on each site and have a big silent retreat here. It'd be a lot of fun. But then expand it where it's 3 and 5 days, maybe even eventually go to a week-long silent retreat. But that's break people in a little bit at a time. Becca, yeah, I know you're not used to me breaking people in, but Becca's eyes go, 7 days.
You don't want to break them in? You want to throw them in?
Austin.
Yeah, Austin, just like so. But so we'll have about 24 more hours or so. And then whenever the last satsang of the day is, I'll let you know, and then we'll kind of close the silence up. But please don't look ahead to that. Just be where you are. Don't be in a rush. Lots of things to meditate on, to stir. If your mind starts to wander, return to one of these things that was given to you tonight to meditate on. Just return to it. Just gently bring your mind back. Don't get in an argument with your mind. Don't get in a fight. Don't go, don't be frustrated. Just gently bring it back. Okay? So just bring it back. So let's just take a couple minutes, and if no questions rise up, then I'll free everyone to return to their silence. But if there's a question that rises up during this couple minutes, just go ahead and ask.
Can you explain what you meant by inner body when you said about having an inner body experience instead of out of the body experience?
Outer, you recognize what an out of body experience is. It's the feeling that you, spirit, essence, are able to observe body. Yeah. So instead of seeing your reflection in a mirror, you're actually beholding the form of the body. An inner body experience is like walking to the front door of your home. You look at the body on the outside and you go, oh, wow, look, the shutters are nice, it's got a nice paint job. Maybe it's a little bigger than I need. It's nice home. And you walk through the front door of your home and you go inside and you, oh, look at this space. This is a nice space. I think it's not so nice. It's a mobile home too. To enjoy it. Everybody just touch your skin. Touch your skin. No. Not touch it like it's you touching you. So an inner body experiences starts with obviously the realization that this is not who I am. It's not separate from me either. So there's an enormous difference between oneness and isness, which I'm not going to go into in detail right now, but the difference is important that you realize at some point. The inner body experience is the realization of the temple that you are, the inner sanctum that you are, and the ability to enjoy that in this inner space. And now I'm even able to see through these eyes, hear with these ears, taste with this mouth, touch with these hands. But it's an experience that's unlike any experience that was when I thought I was the one having the experience. So instead of it being, oh yeah, I mean, this is my body. This is me. What you see is what you get. It's the realization of, it's as if you're looking and you go, oh, whoa. It's a pretty wild knee. But you're not just having the experience here, but you're having it there. The reason you have this temple, this temple that you dwell within, is to experience it. The body was meant to be lived in, not as. And so an inner body experience is when you, awareness, essence, are having this experience within this body, this vessel, this temple. And so I'm not saying, oh, look at this isn't something you get here, but no, look at the trees. Oh yeah, the trees are pretty. What you realize that the picture that you're seeing is a picture from within. This is the reason why if you see good and evil, you're blind. If you see darkness, you're blind. You can have ears but not hear. You can have eyes but not see. To have an inner body experience is to realize your body for what it is and the oneness that you share it. It changes everything as to the reverence that you have for body. And the flow and stuff. I always deal with body shame. But I haven't had, because of the how much time we have, I don't think I've ever talked about body reverence. But all temples are revered, considered holy. They decorate them, and they try to make them nice. You go to a lot of temples, like, they're gold, overlaid gold, and, every time there's been any effort or thing given to build a physical temple made with hands, it's because they have not realized they are the temple. The holiness of a temple, the reverence for the temple, isn't because it's the temple. It's because of who dwells there. Right? Temple is holy because of who dwells there. It's not holy in and of itself. There's no holiness in the temple in and of itself. It's only with the one who dwells there. But if you don't recognize the one that's dwelling there, because you've identified too strongly in the temple, so have an inner body experience, and then this actually enhances all the outer body stuff and everything that you experience physically, whether it's food, one bite of food, or whether it's sex, or whether it's whatever it is. It enhances the experience because it's the realization of what's within. And so food and let's say food and sex are the same thing. You realize this? The same physical desire that you have for food is coming from the same place that you have for sex. No? Yes?
I
Just
see what
realized-
you're saying. I did not know that.
I wouldn't have phrased it that way.
I'm with you.
Before you added that phrase, I thought, okay, they're both something outside of you, outside of the form. But you said they both originate the same.
Mm-hmm.
Pleasures that can only be experienced with the body.
No, that's not what I mean. Yes, this is... no, that's not even necessarily true. I thought that would just be an understood statement, but I guess not. Yeah, so... and it's very... They're meant to be enjoyed. Mm-hmm. Very foundationally, it's just an egoic beast kind of thing, right? Animals do what? They run around, they eat, and they fuck. Mm-hmm. That's what they do. This is what most people do. They run around, they're just trying to work for what? To eat. They say it's for their car payment, their house payment, but the truth is those are just extras. They really just want to eat. And fuck. Those are seriously like the two biggest desires, right? You're looking at me blank faced. Maybe I shouldn't have gone here.
No, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I mean, we do colloquially say that person's thirsty and not referring to...
Yes. Yes. Those desires are never fulfilled, though, are they? So when you're hungry, you go eat, and you go, this tastes so good. An hour later, you're still hungry. You say, I'm so thirsty. And you drink a beer or some water or whatever it is that you're thirsty for. And within a short period of time, you're ready for another. It did not quench the thirst. This is why Jesus said, if you had asked of me, I'd have given you water that you would never thirst again. If you drink from me, you'll never thirst again. If you eat of me, you'll never hunger again. Same thing with sex. You're having a sexual experience, you go, this is wonderful. But then it's not enough. It doesn't satisfy. So you go looking for more.
Yeah, we call them both appetites.
Yeah, they are.
But they're fun.
Wonderful. So first of all, if you see or think of them in a negative way, this is all ego. Right? This is all ego. This is just depending upon where you grew up, depends upon the moral standard, right? So this is all an egoic thing. This is not, you don't do this, don't taste, don't touch, don't handle. These aren't things that are supposed to be good. In the inner body experience, now you actually can enjoy those things without them owning you. And instead of being driven by this desire, because the body, the mind and the body is driven by the desire. When it's driven by the desire, you are lowered to the beast. This is what the Bible calls the beast nature. When you're driven by lust, for whatever it is, this is beast nature. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the fulfillment, in the inner body experience, the fulfillment of who you are, now those things can be experienced and you go, oh, it's good. Oh, so good. But it becomes a worshipful experience instead of it being a thing that you're just chasing. It becomes a worshipful experience. It becomes, it's like a holy experience. Whether it can be eating. That's just a holy encounter, a holy experience. I was having a little handful of that fruit mix that you had in there. I put a raisin in my big old raisin. I hadn't had raisins, and I couldn't even tell you last time. No one's ever told me about these. I just thought there's just such a deep inner gratitude. This was not lust. I was not going after these raisins because of lust. It was just a real beautiful thing. And in all of our experiences, it can be that way. But when you're having this inner body experience now, if you're not having this, what ends up happening is you chase it, you never find. The ego is always trying to fill itself and never finding. And so it's fine if you aren't recognizing these things to take over. You know what? I'm done chasing something. I want to go in. Look within. This is the reason why in some cultures monks should take certain vows for certain periods of time. Chastity or vows of silence or whatever, They're taking certain vows because they want to be separated from this thing that they've been chasing, because they know, I've got that before and it wasn't good. It wasn't enough. I needed more. The problem is, what nobody told them is that the only thing that will come from this is their death, which is good. Eat of my flesh, drink of my blood, and you'll never hunger or thirst again. You can't eat of Jesus' flesh. You can't drink of his blood, right? How frustrating that must have been to hear. They've turned it in all kinds of spiritual mumbo jumbo stuff, but how frustrating that really must have been. They theologically explained the way, eat my flesh and drink my blood, or whoever drinks of me will never thirst. But what does it really mean to drink of Christ and never thirst? So in this place, the only place you can find Christ is never out here. You don't find him in church or in temple or in the mosque, or you're not finding him under the big top, our circus tent here. You're not finding Christ here under the big top. You can find him everywhere. But it's never really good enough until you find him within, until you find that this is who you are, that there's not a separated him. And then when you have the inner body experience, you're having this experience, then instead of walking through the cycle of overeating and feeling gross and being oversexed and feeling gross and now you're able to have an experience, but it's as if it's a real worshipful, beautiful experience. Matter of fact, well, I don't know if I need to go down the road. Maybe I'll say that for another time. You had your hand.
Yeah, like, I guess, like, I feel like I don't, like, maybe I've had moments where I've experienced that, but, like, at the same time, like, I don't feel like I'm overeating. Like, I enjoy...
Clearly.
Huh?
Clearly.
Like, I enjoy food when I have it, but I don't feel like, and sex, but I don't feel like I'm, like, grasping, you know what I mean? But, like, I also don't feel like I'm experiencing what you're talking about. Like, am I supposed to abstain until I'm experiencing that? Or, like, is it okay that I'm enjoying food but not, like, or whatever, like, I guess, like, it kind of seems like there's, like, either you're oversexed and overeating, or you're experiencing this amazing experience, and I kind of feel like I'm not experiencing, like, I think that I've experienced both of those things in different moments, but I can't say that I'm experiencing either one of those on a consistent basis.
That's okay. So I wasn't saying any of that for you to go backwards and look at your past and think about your past experiences. An inner body experience is just trying to define and help you understand what I meant by inner body experience.
Like, it sounds like a beautiful thing, but, like, if you're not having it every time that you're eating food or every time that you're having sex or whatever it is, like, is that a bad thing? Like,
so a lot of this comes in reverence. A lot of the realization, again, it's not, you can do things outwardly, you can abstain from something, but ultimately that abstaining isn't going to actually do anything for you, nor is not abstaining. These are just ideas. Just like meditation isn't something that you meditate until you become the meditation, right? So, and when you become the meditation, you realize you never did. To fill all things and yet be unaware of the body that you fill. Is quite a special. Right? Attachments, likes and dislikes, are always happening in the space of the person. So they're always, that lust comes from out of this person. And the realization that you are the animation of that being, right? Are you with me? Now I don't need to follow. Matter of fact, there's nothing to follow anymore. But there's a full reverence for the space that I'm filling and learning to experience that space. And in the experience of that space, it's such a holy thing. For instance, sexuality. You can absolutely experience the same beauty sexually that you would experience with another person within yourself. And I'm not talking about masturbation. I'm talking about an inward spiritual experience, because there's both the divine masculine and the divine feminine right here. That is the one that fills you. And yet, as a person, you always go looking, typically women for men and men for women, but now also men for men and women for women, whatever. But this is what I'm attracted to, this is what I like, and this is what they're going. And then the person wants to attach because they haven't recognized the reverence for their own temple, so they're looking to add something to. When you realize the beauty of the temple that you dwell in, You realize there's nothing that needs to be added to it. This isn't about what you've past tense experienced. It's irrelevant. None of that matters.
I guess that I've always just seen it as just another expression of love. Like, I don't...
What's that?
Like, sexuality is just another expression of love. Like, I didn't feel like, oh, if I'm not experiencing it this way, that's not okay. Like...
No, I didn't say it wasn't okay. I never said it wasn't okay. I never even said... I didn't even say chasing tail all day is not okay. If that's... I didn't say it wasn't okay. I made no such statement. I have not brought you to any conclusion, so whatever conclusion you're coming to, you're doing that on your own. I'm simply wanting to show you that maybe there's something to be experienced that maybe if you haven't, wonderful. This is beautiful. Then in this realization, this will be so wonderful. This is something to look towards or let go of and experience at some point. This is great. Start by experiencing your knee for the first time. Start by, as long as there's body shame, we clearly are. It's like a Christian ashamed to go to church, or a Muslim afraid to throw his mat out and meditate or pray, do his daily prayers. This is like you being ashamed of your body.
I didn't connect the act of the reverence for this temple, this body, with experiencing the worshipful or you just are mentioning right there about experiencing within yourself the worshipful act of the masculine and the feminine oneness within. Didn't understand how those came into the same invitation that you're laying in front of us.
That's still an inner body experience. And that experience is to be aware and have that experience. Masculine and feminine are bodily, right? We think masculine and feminine. You don't think formless.
Used to. No, I do.
So, spirit is both. Is both masculine and feminine. One. In the reverence for your own temple, the form that you feel, then you also get to, in reverence for it, and then having the inner body. So it's realizing this divine. How many very few beings are actually, when even within other religious circles, they talk about in paganism, they talk about the divine masculine and the divine feminine, but it's oftentimes discovered in orgies. I'm talking about you realizing it within. The realization of it within then enables the worship of self here, because this is not another. And so it's no longer a desire outside of myself, but it's the experience from within of oneness. And it starts here. Starts here. You feel me, homie? So yeah, enjoy. Like seriously though, I say, you see, when you begin to see through these eyes and you recognize it's a picture that you're seeing, it's not actually you seeing anything. It's almost as if like an outer body experience, you're almost out here seeing yourself. And what I'm talking about is it's almost like you're inside sitting in a recliner watching a TV screen. And you're like, what is going on? That's beautiful. This cat right here is in a beautiful place. I love this mobile home. Look at where he's at. Look where he's camped me out at right now. This is awesome. Kind of thing.
So you're not saying that, like, if I'm not enjoying food or whatever like that, like, that's a bad thing. But that's something for me to experience as I become more aware.
I'm just simply saying, as you do, you will.
Okay.
There's no bad thing at all.
I'm just like thinking, like, okay, am I supposed to like not do this if I'm not eat, if I'm not like having this worshipful experience? Am I supposed to not be having sex if it's not this worshipful experience? I mean, it's fun and it's great, but
so listen, this is a bigger thing right now. Is this for you specifically?
like I don't know. Like I feel like if I'm not attaining this high standard, like, but I already weigh very little.
So here's the thing. Yeah. Listen to me. Listen real closely. Who is hearing me say things like that? It's ego.
Yeah.
That's,
like I feel
that
like
you
there's
go
a
into
standard.
performance mode.
Yeah.
There are certain things that I say that trigger performance mode in
Yeah.
Becca, and then I lose Becca.
Yeah.
I lose.
Like I'm like, if I'm not attaining this standard, then I need to
and I
not
see
do it at all.
you get in your mind big time and I see this often in classes, right? Where you go in this place of like, you're hearing me say something that I'm not saying.
Okay.
Eat all the food you want and not enjoy any of it. I don't care. have all the sex you want and have to chase it back. You know, all I mean is there was zero. I was simply talking about experience. I was simply relaying to the best of my ability using words.
That there's more to be experienced.
Some of what I experienced. That's all I was relaying of what I was meaning, because she asked me what I mean by inner body experience, because I don't even know that I've ever even heard that term before.
If I understand you're saying that there's more to be experienced, but it's not a bad thing that I have not yet experienced.
No. There's no bad thing.
Have not consistently experienced.
If you hear me say there's a bad thing,
okay,
then you need to come and say Silas.
I just felt like there was a standard that I was not hitting.
No, I'm saying start here now by recognizing. When you meditate, think, feel, recognize the ecstasy. Yeah, but recognize the ecstasy of being in this body. The beauty and the majesty and the ecstasy of being in this body. And all of the experiences, and realize that every dislike or like that you've ever had is because you identified as the body instead of actually feeling it. Mm. Just like the programming, the bee lands on you, or the spider in the corner of the house, programmed. Mm-hmm. The spider comes down and lands on you. Just if you're not the body, then who's the one that's afraid? That you've been programmed. This is my body. I could get hurt. This could be poisonous. I don't know. You could be a teeny tiny little house spider.
There's some big ass spiders out there. I'm just saying, like big ass.
I picked up when the first day we were here. I picked up the thing and there was a wolf spider about that big.
Shit.
Pretty nice.
I walked right into a web. My face went right into that web over there.
So. But you're not. This is the thing. As long as you're identified as a body, okay. As long as you're identified as a body, you will live in duality, because there are a lot of bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
See, this is what I mean when I was talking about the trees. As long as I'm identified as the body, and I'll hear the tree, and I'll hear the frog, and I'll hear the bird, and I'll hear and I'm wanting to listen, but the truth is there's always only been one voice. All the false voices have just been in your head, in your imagination. There's only one voice. When we're having satsangs or classes, and I say something and you go, oh yes, I say it's just a monologue. It's not really dialogue. Don't go, oh Silas, this is so great. You just heard the sound of your own voice. Do you understand? That's amazing.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
The beginning of experiencing oneness within yourself is not going to happen by making distinctions of the masculine and feminine, which you were talking about. It's not spirit. Those are our labels that we use. Although we've defined terms and used labels,
Sure.
and I recognize that. So it's not by making the distinctions and recognizing both within that is the beginning of experiencing oneness.
No, of course not.
It's not even first step would seem to me not even giving that consideration, not even looking to make distinctions.
Sure. The only way that it'll ever be experienced the way I was talking about is when the concept is let go of. As long as it's a concept, it won't be experienced. Yeah. It's so easy though when you're speaking, when you're using the English language or any language. That's the only one that I think I speak. It's so easy the mind almost tries to conceptualize it all and trying to understand. So I appreciate the wanting to explore that further, because in no way, shape, or form when I say the divine masculine, the divine feminine, am I separating anything.
Right.
But if I was sort of talking about the experience, I would have to communicate it that way. I could not communicate my experience to you any other way, even though when I say that, I'm not separating the two. But it's easy for the mind to immediately think in distinctions, because that's our language. Language came out of duality. It's kind of it's truly only in the realization of being, not even oneness, being, isness. And then that isness having the experience of a body. Because in that isness never is conscious of its masculine or feminine side. But in the experience of a body, there is now this experience. And I don't know how other people's terms work in their head when they hear feminine, when they hear masculine, and none of that matters, but you need to let go of whatever you think when you hear masculine and feminine. Strong possibility it needs to be let go of. Because neither one of them is less powerful than the other. Both of them are, a lot of times when we think feminine, we think lady, like ladies, or if we think feminine in a man, we think very girly. That's not what I mean when I say that the feminine quality. That's not what I mean at all. So, like gay, like that's feminine. No, that's not what I mean. That's not feminine. That is not the divine. This is not the divine feminine, girls. Okay, just so y'all know, this ain't the divine feminine. That's not what I'm speaking of. Not in any way, shape, or form. But it's as if there's this explosion, this orgasmic explosion of ecstasy that takes place within your own being, in the experience of, what do you think happened in the temple, in the Holy of Holies? What do you think is going on? Go find out. So when I talk about heart space, you hear me talking about the heart? When I talk about the heart, I'm talking about the Holy of Holies. even biblically, it's the lab, which is talking about that centermost part of man. This is talking about in the same way the temple, the Jews constructed their temple with the outer courts, the inner courts, and the Holy of Holies, and we've heard it compartmentalized body, soul, and spirit, right? Now, throw all that, let go of that. That's bullshit. You don't need to, but the temple is really beautiful in realizing your own being, and that Holy of Holies is this heart space, if you will, of your own being. It's not your physical heart, but are you aware of that? Feel every heartbeat. Feel the breath. Feel, enjoy. If you cannot enjoy your own body in this way, how will you ever enjoy another body? I mean, you'll enjoy it, but I'm saying because it's much deeper. It can be experienced much deeper, continually, forever. So, starts with that reverence. In reverence, you always come to humbly explore and discover, and you're never forceful or thinking. You're not reverent and simultaneously thinking you have everything figured out. If Austin says, "Hey, calls me and says, Silas, let's set up a one-on-one," and then he shows up at my house and he just comes through the door and he says, "Sit down. I'm going to tell you right now how I've been feeling." Well, this is not a good way to start a one-on-one. This body I'm sure will sit and listen. He might not get anything in return. But I'll sit and listen. It's okay. If he needs to curse me out, he can curse me out. But I'm saying reverence postures for an experience. Reverence is the posture of for an experience, yeah. When you revere something, when you hold it in high esteem, this is a worshipful encounter, right? You're worshiping something, you're holding, wow. This never comes when there's shame, never comes when there's fear, never comes in identity. If you've identified this as this thing, you will not find it. If you identify as the body, you won't find this. Not there. So, yeah. So it's just a great experience that you get to have here. Every moment. In the Holy of Holies. And then also experience in the outer court.
We don't gather at a temple to worship the temple, right?
No. No, it's all about who's inside.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, have an inner body experience. If it's two persons, what we call making love or having sex, it's just two bodies enjoying each other, and it's still enjoyable. I've done it, it's still enjoyable. But when it's one spirit filling two bodies, enjoying one another, enjoying itself, now this is something entirely different. Can you see that? And now this is a worshipful thing, so I can appreciate and honor the temple, but it's what's in the temple that gives the temple value. Right? And now this thing that's in the temple is everywhere. I'm just simply saying that it's also, this inner body experience is to begin to be aware. Because it's absolutely silly for you to be aware that you feel all of the universe, but you're not aware that you feel this body. It's such a silly thing, yeah? And then it'd be a silly thing. So what it is people running around having this perceptual experience while in their imagination picturing that they feel the universe. And what I want is you to become aware, like you are the awareness in this body. And yet the body's not who you are. There's a oneness, but it's not who you are. Just like I'm one with the tree, but it is not who I am. Yeah. Makes sense? No, it definitely makes sense, but you understand.
Makes sense as much as I think it should.
Yeah, there you go. You're feeling it. You're feeling it. That's more important. Yeah. So there's sometimes I'll just touch myself. I mean, I'll just find just becoming aware of my own body even more and having an experience, but it's not like I'm consciously thinking about it. It's coming from within, and it begins to come out. I even found myself earlier today just doing this. I was just touching my own face, just experiencing this body, because I find if you can't see how good it really is, then it must be because you still think differently about it. Christians put their churches on hills with big signs now. You've seen the big electronic signs? Yeah. They want them to be seen. And yet they tell everybody that you should hide yourself. Anyway. Was there anything else? Because we kind of went down that rabbit trail. Great question. It took forever for us to... Beautiful. Like I said, silent retreat is the only time you ever, like, Silas, yes, keep talking. Keep talking. Because like, please don't let this Satsang in. I think there's a real beauty, and I will say this as we wrap up, unless you had something else. I think there's a real beauty in when you're not in a rush. And we had nowhere to go today, other than having to pee. When you're not in a rush. And when you've been spending this time in meditation and everything, and you've been watching the mind wander back and forth and bringing it back and watching it wander and bringing it back, and you're learning to observe more because of the silence. Yeah? There's a real beauty when we gather. Now, you can still get in your head. Becca did it a couple times, I know. Still, like, wandered off. You're real easy to tell when you wander off. Right? But, and it's good. It's
I also
okay.
started getting a little bit of the H from the ADHD.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's okay, but, like, if I can get up and just start moving, that might help me to, because when I start getting hyperactive, it's really hard for me to stay engaged.
Yeah, well, you're not the one that's hyperactive.
I
So it's
know,
okay. But anyway, I wasn't saying that to go get distracted on that. I was simply saying this, that when there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to be, and we're really able to just come and sit and breathe and be here in the stillness. Wow, your heart is really postured to receive, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Like you're really able. You're just because you're here. Like you're here. I want to hear. I want to hear. Whatever is the sound of this voice, right? And like this is even at our monthly satsangs, my intent, my desire has been to establish this when people come, that they're coming with in a meditative state to come and really explore being. But if you're all up in your head and you come into a satsang, it's going to be impossible to explore essence because you're just so set on concept. So this is a beautiful opportunity, beautiful moments to be able to have these. And it can be always. And I think even in conversation, it's fun to joke around and have fun and play. But even in things move quickly from joking to serious business. But hear beyond the concept. Even when you're talking to someone that is fully conceptualized for themselves. See beyond the concept. Even when you're speaking with someone who has only seen them as the concept.
Like, it's like I hear all of this, and it's like I feel like the way that I view others is really changing, and the way that I view myself is really changing, but yet I still feel constrained by other people's concepts of me and other people's narratives of who I am, and who they want me to be in their life, or what my relationship with them is supposed to look like, and how I'm supposed to behave as a result of that. And so like I often feel really restricted, and like I just want to be me. Like I just want to be in the moment and not feel like restricted by what other people's concepts of me are, or what their narrative of me is about. But I find myself like falling into that role that they want me to play.
So only the concept can be judged. Concepts will always judge concepts, right? Only the concept can be judged. Have you ever judged space? Damn you, space.
Only is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the space between what you call space, like, so, but we don't, only concepts carry the burden of judgment. And so simply recognize this. The one that you're identifying as, the concept, is carrying the burden of another's judgment. So thank them for judging the concept so that you can in this moment realize that you're not that thing that they are judging, but you are the nothing. Okay? You are the space. You're not judgeable.
Because I always find myself like kind of falling into line, with what they expect of me and what they want from me, and like.
Hold on.
Like, and I hate that. Like, and I don't feel like it's genuine. Like, I don't feel like it's like the authentic expression of who I am.
Yeah, the authentic expression is not the authentic expression is not thinking before it rises up. If there's thought that go, have you ever thought about breathing? Like, have you thought, I need to breathe right now. How do I do this? No, you've not overcomplicated breathing in such ways, right? So the authentic expression just rises up. Just rises up. It's wonderful. The authentic expression of who you are rises up. Now, what you've identified as begins to think about what other people think, about how they feel, about what will they say, about what will they do. The authentic, so that's called self-consciousness. So now you are identified as this, and you're actually conscious of this, when in actuality you are neither one of those things.
Okay. I might need you to repeat that to me at a later date.
Yeah. I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. Let go of the thought. It's just like every time you've come with a problem regarding someone else, I always say, I can't help you with that. Yeah. So let go of the thought of there being another. And let go of the thought of there being a you that can be opposed to the other. Do you like it when you feel that someone else is doing this and you fall in line? Do you like it? Okay. So wherever these feelings, these harsh feelings lie, with likes and dislikes, love and hatred. These are coming from that place of the person, of the identity. All right? Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
I'm speaking really slowly so you can comprehend, so that you can follow with me and hear what I'm saying. It's coming from the place of identity. Who you truly are, essence, has never stood in judgment for it to have a like or a dislike, for it to have a love or a hate. It only knows love. And it doesn't know love in the way that people know love, because it is love. It never once has to think, I don't keep a record of wrongs. I can't judge them today because I'm love and I don't keep a record of wrongs. Oh, it just is love. It's just like, the person smacks you in the face, and 2 minutes later you're like, yeah. They're judging, and you're just like, and you're living in this. This is existing. This is living. Existing might not be a great word for it, but this is truly being life. Life does not know death. Love does not know hate. Right? Okay. So where there's love and there is hate, this is not coming from who you are, but from the one that you've identified as. Right? Mm-hmm. And so this one that's identified here will never get through their problems. They're always going to be trying to figure a way to get beyond their judgment, and they're always going to judge others for judging them. Well, why are they judging me? And they want me to be something else that I'm not. Listen, I know every one of us knows all too well. We're not having the exact experience, but we've all had each one of us individual experiences of the same thing. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So rise beyond the possibility of standing in judgment of their judgment. Mm-hmm. And this isn't something you do. This is just who you are. Okay? She's gone in full-fledged fidgeting mode now. Okay. Tomorrow we'll have lots of cuddle sesh or hugging and loving and eye gazing and stuff, but I do want to get a hug before we return to silence. Can I?
Yeah.
Can we get a little group hug?
Okay.
And then we
Is there
can...
any possibility for like one-on-one time?
For what? Right this second?
No, like I mean, it doesn't matter, but like.
You mean after the retreat
Like
or during it?
at any point from this point in time forward.
Mm-hmm. There's always a possibility one-on-one time. Make a little fire so you guys can return to your silence and